In the vast Pacific Ocean, far removed from any other land or civilization, lies a tiny island that has recently attracted global attention. A memorandum discovered in a bankruptcy court filing revealed the ambitions of a company and its billionaire owner to purchase their own independent, sovereign state. In the 1970s, this small island nation was considered one of the wealthiest in the world. In 1975, its per capita GDP was $50,000, second only to Saudi Arabia. The average Nauruan was 4 times wealthier than the average American. Despite only having 15 miles of paved roads, luxury cars like sports cars and Land Rovers were common household purchases. Today, however, its per capita GDP has fallen to around $12,000. This is a true riches to rags story, one that tells the tale of Nauru. The Republic of Nauru, a tiny island nation in the Pacific, is among the smallest countries in the world in both size and population. Yet its history is a striking narrative of immense wealth, environmental devastation, and economic collapse. Once one of the richest nations on the planet due to its vast phosphate reserves, Nauru now faces poverty and the ongoing consequences of environmental destruction. In an intriguing twist, former billionaire Sam Bankman-Fried, once the wealthiest person under 30, and now facing up to 110 years in prison for defrauding over 1 million people, once contemplated buying the island nation. How did Nauru go from wealth to ruin, and what led to its dramatic decline? Nauru is located in the central Pacific Ocean, just south of the equator. Covering a mere 21 square kilometers, it is the 3rd smallest country by area in the world, after Vatican City and Monaco. It is located northeast of Australia and to the southwest of Hawaii, but it is much closer to Australia than it is to Hawaii. Specifically, Nauru is about 2,500 miles, 4,000 kilometers, southwest of Hawaii, and roughly 1,800 miles, 2,900 kilometers, northeast of Brisbane, Australia. Nauru's neighbors are Kiribati, the Solomon Islands, Marshall Island, and Papua New Guinea. It is part of the region known as Micronesia. The island is a raised coral atoll with a central plateau that once housed some of the richest phosphate deposits on the planet. Nauru's tropical climate is characterized by a wet season and a dry season, with temperatures remaining fairly consistent throughout the year. The island's geography, while beautiful, has also been a source of its greatest challenges. The early history of Nauru is one of isolation. The indigenous Nauruans of Micronesian descent lived relatively undisturbed on the island for centuries, relying on fishing and agriculture for survival. European contact began in the 19th century when Nauru was annexed by Germany in 1888. However, the true turning point in Nauru's history came in 1900 when rich phosphate deposits were discovered on the island. The discovery is credited to Albert Ellis, an employee of the Pacific Islands Company, who noticed a rock from Nauru being used as a doorstop at the company's headquarters in Sydney, Australia, in 1899. Intrigued by the rock's unusual properties, Ellis had it analyzed and found it to be rich in phosphate. This led to further investigations, and significant deposits of phosphate were soon confirmed on Nauru. This discovery would change Nauru's fortunes dramatically. Phosphate, formed from centuries of bird droppings, became the island's most valuable resource. Initially, the phosphate industry was controlled by colonial powers, but Nauru gained independence in 1968 and took control of its phosphate resources. The 1970s and 1980s were a period of immense wealth for Nauru. The country had one of the highest per capita incomes in the world, and its government provided generous social services to its citizens. However, this prosperity was built on a single, finite resource. The intensive mining of phosphate had a devastating impact on Nauru's environment. Over 80% of the island's land was stripped bare, leaving it barren and unusable for agriculture or habitation. The once lush tropical landscape was scarred with open pits, and the central plateau became a wasteland. The environmental degradation caused by phosphate mining is one of the most severe cases of ecological destruction in the world. In recent years, there have been efforts to rehabilitate the land, but progress has been slow. The island now relies heavily on imported food, as the degradation of arable land has made local agriculture nearly impossible. Nauru's ecological challenges are a stark reminder of the consequences of overexploitation of natural resources. Nauru is a parliamentary republic with a president who serves as both head of state and government. The president of Nauru is David Adiang, who heads a 19-member unicameral parliament. The country is a member of the United Nations, the Commonwealth of Nations, and the Asian Development Bank. Nauru also participates in the Commonwealth and Olympic Games. However, the country's political history has been marked by instability and frequent changes in leadership. The depletion of phosphate wealth has led to significant economic challenges, contributing to political instability and corruption. The government has struggled to manage the country's finances effectively, and the economic downturn has exacerbated social issues such as unemployment and poverty. Despite these challenges, Nauru has managed to maintain its sovereignty and continues to function as an independent nation. Nauru's small size and strategic location have made it a point of interest for larger nations. The country has engaged in diplomatic relations with a variety of countries, often leveraging these relationships for financial aid and support. Nauru's recognition of disputed territories and acceptance of foreign aid in exchange for political support have drawn international criticism. One of Nauru's most controversial alliances is with Australia. Nauru hosts an offshore detention center for asylum seekers trying to reach Australia, a relationship that has brought significant financial aid but also international scrutiny. In 2001, the MV Tampa, a Norwegian ship that had rescued 438 refugees from a stranded boat, was seeking to dock in Australia. In what became known as the Tampa Affair, the ship was refused entry and boarded by Australian troops. The refugees were eventually taken to Nauru to be held in detention facilities which later became part of the Howard government's Pacific Solution. Nauru operated 2 detention centers known as State House and Topside for these refugees in exchange for Australian aid. By November 2005, only 2 refugees remained on Nauru from those first sent there in 2001. Nauru's foreign policy reflects the challenges of being a small nation in a complex geopolitical environment. Nauru's economy was once entirely dependent on phosphate mining. During its peak, the country's phosphate industry generated immense wealth, and the government invested in international real estate, like the Leonardo the Mushel, the Mercure Hotel in Sydney, Australia, and the Nauru House in Melbourne, Australia, and other ventures. The nation's trust, which proceed from the phosphate mining and proceed from various investment, was kept shrunk from 1.3 billion Australian dollars in 1991 to 138 million Australian dollars in 2002. Nauru currently lacks money to perform many of the basic functions of government. For example, the National Bank of Nauru is insolvent. The CIA World Factbook estimated a GDP per capita of $5,000 in 2005. The Asian Development Bank 2007 Economic Report on Nauru estimated GDP per capita at $2,400 to $2,715. The depletion of phosphate reserves led to an economic collapse. The government's investments, intended to provide a sustainable income after the phosphate ran out, were poorly managed, leading to financial losses. Nauru's attempts to diversify its economy included offshore banking, which led to accusations of money laundering, the sale of passports, and the hosting of the Australian Offshore Detention Center. Despite these efforts, the country remains heavily reliant on foreign aid. Today, Nauru has a population of around 10,000 people, making it one of the least populated countries in the world. The majority of Nauruans are of Micronesian origin, with smaller populations of other Pacific Islanders and Europeans. The depletion of phosphate wealth has led to widespread poverty and health issues, including high rates of obesity and diabetes. The island's reliance on imported food, due to the degradation of its arable land, has exacerbated these health problems. Despite the challenges, the people of Nauru have shown resilience. The government continues to seek ways to improve the economy and quality of life for its citizens, although the road ahead is fraught with difficulties. The story of Nauru is a cautionary tale about the dangers of over-reliance on a single natural resource. The wealth generated by phosphate mining was not managed sustainably, leading to environmental devastation and economic ruin. Today, Nauru is a nation struggling to recover from the consequences of its past. While efforts are being made to rehabilitate the land and diversify the economy, the challenges remain immense. Nauru's experience serves as a powerful reminder of the importance of sustainable development and the long-term consequences of environmental neglect. The island's history, geography, ecology, politics, and economy are all intertwined in a complex narrative of rise and fall, providing valuable lessons for other nations and for the world as a whole. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, support our channel by hitting the like and subscribe channel. Until next time, remain curious.